My name is Kaleigh Fraser. I'm the British woman who witnessed and posted on social media about the Galface Argalia and mass protests across Sri Lanka last year. I witnessed an oppressive government repeatedly use disproportionate force to shut down the protest and instill fear into the hearts of the people who dared to speak out against it. I exposed the inhuman treatment of citizens by police, government forces and thugs who were rallied together at the then Prime Minister Rajapaksa's residence, Temple Trees. I posted many videos and shared a great deal of content which directly contradicted the government propaganda media that I now note is owned by the family of the now president. And I did this all through my personal social media pages. I posted about the expired tear gas being used against unarmed and peaceful civilians, who were at times in numbers of less than 100. Hundreds of civilians suffered severe ill effects from these tear gases being used over the months of protesting. Many were coughing up blood and with symptoms ongoing for months after exposure. I posted about the noise torture that protesters outside Temple Trees were subjected to. I posted about the repeated violence that I witnessed from government forces towards unarmed men, women and children. I witnessed military helicopters flying low to the ground at the Galface site and pointing guns at protesters to incite mass panic and fear into an already desperate people. I witnessed the government evict protesters from their protesting site at Galface after having raided the site overnight and having beaten and tortured many of the protesters, also denying them access to medical care for around 8 hours. I also publicly questioned the president's decision to allow the severely harmful chemical glyphosate to be used once again in Sri Lanka's food chain and further poison an already malnourished population. I have publicly questioned many of the appalling things that I've witnessed while staying in Sri Lanka. I too was then subjected to persecution by President Wickramasinghe for defending the poor Sri Lankan people who took part in the non-violent protest campaign. The relentless non-violent social revolution was culminated with violence perpetrated by police against non-violent protesters. There's countless video evidence showing police forces hunting down protesters who ran away to hide from the violence. Many were dragged from their hiding places and badly beaten. After the Argalia was dismantled by Ranil Wickramasinghe by force on the 2nd of August 2022, my property too was raided and my personal belongings, including my passport, was forcibly removed without a court order, in spite of my having visa to remain in Sri Lanka till the 8th of March 2023. On the 8th of August 2022, the police spokesperson in his regular briefing said that my social media pages contained some negative content and that I'd brought the government of Sri Lanka into disrepute. There was also a highly racist remark about how it is not right for a foreigner to be commenting. Thereafter, I was forced to attend the office of the Controller General of Immigration on the 8th of August 2022, where I was detained for over 8 hours and questioned about my participation in the Galface protest. My visa was revoked with an order made to leave Sri Lanka on or before the 15th of August 2022. I challenged the decision of the immigration before the Court of Appeal on the 12th of August, but on the 18th of August, the court held that the Controller General of Immigration has an unfettered discretion on visa matters and my application was dismissed. As the administrative law does not recognise an unfettered discretion in any public office, on the 23rd of August 2022, I challenged the said order in the Supreme Court with permission sought to file a certified copy of the Court of Appeal order once it was made available to me. But the said request was rejected and my application was dismissed on the 2nd of September by Judge Priyantha Jayawaradena on the basis that I had not filed the Court of Appeal order. Meanwhile, Ranil Wickramasinghe, the president, employed his people to take me before him and ask him for mercy. This is something I strongly rejected and refused to do. I am then told that on the 5th of September, 2 lawyers, namely Lakshan Diaz and Prabodha Ratanayaka, apparently loyal to government authorities, filed a right violation petition numbered SCFR 2992022, citing me as the petitioner without my authority. I have never met those people, and I have not signed any proxy or affidavit empowering them to do so. Since the 15th of August 2022, I have been hunted by CID and immigration officers who have turned up at numerous properties they believed me to be staying at. Officers have assaulted the husband of a pregnant woman, terrifying both of them in an attempt to gain information about my whereabouts, something which has been reported officially to local police with no arrests made. Because of the constant threat I am under of unlawful arrest, detention and deportation, I have not been able to meet with my own counsel, Mr. Nagananda, let alone instruct another. I have been informed that when said matter was taken up for support on the 14th of September 2022, the court had questioned Lakshan Diaz AAL as to why he failed to mention about the case SC SPLLA 2182022 that I filed in the Supreme Court. I am told that he informed the court that I had instructed him that I was unaware SC SPLLA 2182022 filed in the Supreme Court, and therefore the court had dismissed the case filed by him, SDFR 2992022, with a cost order of 100,000 rupees imposed on me for no fault of my own. Given that this case Lakshan Diaz brought forward has now prevented my actual case and plea for help and justice from the Supreme Court being heard, I can only see that this has been done maliciously and deliberately to negatively impact my case against this government. Further to the dismissal of my application for special leave to appeal, SC SPL 2182022, I filed an application afresh, numbered SC SPL LA 246 in the Supreme Court on the 13th of September 2022 with the certified copy of the Court of Appeal order. On the 15th of November 2022, that application was again taken up for support before the same judge, Judge Priyantha Jayawardena, and despite my strong objections filed in writing to have my case heard before a different and impartial judge, the case was heard before Judge Priyantha. Once again, the matter was postponed until the 18th of January 2023. At this point, especially given that I had now learned of the strong connection between the Rajapaksas and Judge Priyantha Jayawardena, I cite 2 things here. One in Lanka E-News, printed March 3rd, 2021, that states Judge Priyantha Jayawardena is an extreme, and I quote, Rajapaksa supporter who brought to the post of Supreme Court judge during the presidency of Mahinda Rajapaksa whilst he was acting as Basil Rajapaksa's lawyer. I also cite an article on dailynews.lk where Judge Priyantha Jayawardena himself refused to sit on the bench regarding the fundamental rights petition filed by former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, citing personal reasons. It is very clear that there is a personal and strong link between the very government that I have publicly called out in support of the poor Sri Lankan civilians. Given this, I do not believe in the possibility of justice through such a judge who is so strongly linked to these same people. So I had to request the Chief Justice to intervene and grant me a fair hearing. He ordered that my case be listed for support on the 28th of November 2022, but once again it was listed for support before the Judge Priyantha Jayawardena, and once again he postponed it. This time for 6 months, with an added special order given to the registrar not to entertain any request seeking an earlier date, citing no reasons for this. Thereafter, as the Judge Priyantha Jayawardena had abused the office and clearly violated my fundamental rights, which does not fall within judiciary immunity, I initiated a right violation petition numbered SCFR 3992022 against him on 27th of December 2022 for denying my right to safe liberty and to return to Britain as a British citizen and not as a deportee. It was supported on the 27th of January 2023 and the order delivered almost 4 months later, on the 11th of May 2023. In the order made by the Supreme Court, it is mentioned that I have suppressed, I quote, I suppressed facts about another case, numbered SCFR 2992022, the case initiated by 2 other lawyers, Lakshan Diaz and Praboda Ratnayaka, who I state that, once again, I have never met nor signed any affidavit nor proxy, which I have already informed the Chief Justice on the 8th of March 2023. Yet the court has simply disregarded my written submission made to court and imposed a further cost order of 500,000 rupees on me. An order which is absolutely flawed. Any prudent person will understand that this order is obviously wrong, as I have no business with this case. SCFR 2992022, filed by 2 said lawyers, apparently loyal to this government, and Ranil Wickramasinghe, who has used his people to continually try to persuade me to go before him begging for pardon and to have the deportation order issued on me cancelled, permitting me to safely return to the UK. President Ranil has been asked to allow me to travel home safely, a request which he has repeatedly denied in favour of continuing to punish me for speaking out against his government. The 2 lawyers who deliberately filed a case citing me as the petitioner with no proxy or affidavit is clearly fraud, and therefore on the 18th of May 2023 I've reported both of these to the Chief Justice, as they have deprived me of my right to pursue a fundamental rights petition, SCFR 3992022, causing an irreparable damage to my reputation and credibility, and further prolonging the suffering I have to endure, having lost my right to liberty and to live my life free from persecution. I have given instructions to my counsel, Mr. Nagananda, to have the cost order of 500,000 rupees imposed on me overturned, as FR case 2992022 had been initiated by the 2 said lawyers without my authority, and hence the cost order imposed is clearly unjust. It appears to me that although Sri Lanka claims to be a democracy, it's a place where people are least concerned and clueless about their democratic rights and the supremacy bestowed in the people under the Sri Lankan constitution. It appears that the majority of people turn a blind eye to oppression and passively approve the corrupt 1225 politicians who appear to rob this nation with total immunity whilst keeping the judiciary at arm's length. I know that even though I've done my utmost best for the downtrodden people of this country, the people here, due to sheer ignorance and learned racism, condemn me for interfering with the internal affairs of the government of Sri Lanka. I know that even my counsel, Mr. Nagananda, who does his absolute best to protect my interests, absolutely pro bono publico, for the public good, he is also condemned by the people of this country for helping a foreigner who has no business with the Sri Lankan politics. I state clearly, I do not care for the politics of this country. I care for the people of this country. As a human being on this planet, I deeply care when I witness people being violently attacked just for raising their voice and gathering together in unison. No matter what is said between any people or between any people and their government, no matter what your point of view is, violence is completely abhorrent and unacceptable. Violence against unarmed and desperate people is even more abhorrent. It completely violates human rights law, instills fear in an already fearful public, creates absolute distrust of the government, and creates yet another completely undemocratic rule by terror country in this world. Is that really what Sri Lanka wants to be? Before the government violence against the people, I witnessed something truly beautiful at Golface Green. I witnessed people of all religions and all economic backgrounds coming together in love and in hope and in unison together. I saw what can be achieved when the people of this country choose to work together and support each other rather than be divided by hatred and incited racism. I saw a true community of courageous and intelligent people rising above generations of fear and trauma to set an example to this world of how a protest should be conducted. This was the most incredible, special show of love, unity and solidarity that I have ever been witness to. System change is what thousands of people came to the streets to demand. Born from the desperation, but also from the desire to create a world that your children would thank you for inheriting. And they were met with violence and trauma and chemical weapons used against them, designed to plunge them straight back into fear and silence. And for me, for 10 months now, I have been punished for raising my voice on behalf of the people of this country, future of this country, for the children of this country. 10 months where I've been forced to lose all my property, all of my money, my perception of safety. 10 months of battling a severe decline in my mental and physical health and well-being. 10 months of living in appalling conditions, in fear of what these authorities will do to me should they take me in custody. After 10 months of living in daily terror, is it not time for justice to prevail? Is it not time to allow me to leave this country without further threat to my safety, my liberty, or my sanity? I have committed no crime, and yet I find myself paying this ridiculously high cost and being punished continually with no end in sight. I have lost all but my last shred of faith in the justice system here and for the future of Sri Lanka. A country without justice, there can never be peace. Without peace, there can never be love, and without love, there is nothing worth living for.